This is Michael Sunoff with Michael Sunoff's HardToFindSeminars.com. The title of this interview is called Easy Concrete Steps for Going Green on a Budget. Although you may think your house is clean and safe, according to Diane MacEachern, author of The Big Green Purse, toxins are everywhere, from the plastic we store our food in to the very products we use to make things cleaner. The chemicals in everyday household items may be making us sick. So, Diane says we have to be responsible to our family, our budget, and to the environment to be choosy when it comes to our spending power. If we can shift $1,000 of our family's yearly household budget to greener products, it will send a strong message to manufacturers that consumers care about their health, safety, and the planet. And in this audio, you'll hear what you need to know to make every purchase count. You'll also hear the 2 dangerous chemicals that could be in your household plastic and how to make sure your plastic is safe. The simple little trick parents can do to help their kids be more relaxed, energetic, and healthy. The fastest known way to let manufacturers know you demand more responsible behavior from them. A very easy tactic that will help you combat the commercialization your children are bombarded with that make them think they need every new toy at the store. 2 ways to ensure your children's clothes are the safest they can be. Key strategies that will help parents control the overall consumption of their households. As we go about our everyday lives, Diane says it's vital to remember that you can't really throw away anything. Garbage goes somewhere and it's never really destroyed. So it's important that we make deliberate, conscious decisions when it comes to our spending and make everything we own as valuable as possible. Now let's get going.
Hi, this is Chris Costello, and I've teamed up with Michael Sunoff to bring you the world's best wellness-related interviews. So if you know anyone struggling with their weight, with cancer, diabetes, ADHD, autism, heart disease, or other health challenges, please send them to Michael Sunoff's HardToFindSeminars.com. I'm Chris Costello, and our guest today is author of Big Green Purse, Using Your Spending Power to Create a Cleaner, Greener World. And we're talking today with Diane MacEachern. Diane, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So this is just a fantastic book. It has so many different ideas for people and inspiring ways that they can participate and work towards making a greener community. You seem to also be a pioneer in the field of environmental writing. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about how you got into this and how you got inspired?
Well, it probably goes all the way back to my childhood. I grew up in the state of Michigan, which, if you've ever been there, is a very beautiful place to be. But when I was a kid, various things happened that left a big impression on me. I remember one hot summer day, all the kids piling in the car with Mom and Dad to go to the lake, and when we got there, we couldn't go swimming because the water had been so polluted that the beach was just littered with dead fish. And I'll never forget that sense of disappointment and concern and worry that, in fact, we really were a threat because of what people were doing to the lake. So, over time, various other issues arose, and one thing led to another. I got a master's degree in natural resources management and the environment from the University of Michigan. And as they say, the rest is history.
Well, that's an amazing story. You were actually just a little kid, and you went to this lake and saw this destruction. How old were you?
Oh, I'm sure I was old enough to remember, but still young enough to want to go places with my parents.
And you have gone on to advise the Environmental Protection Agency, the World Bank, the World Wildlife Fund, and many other agencies and nonprofit organizations that focus on protecting the planet. Now, you also had one of the first energy-efficient homes.
Well, again, doing these things has always seemed like it made sense to me. And maybe it's because I grew up in a household where parents had lived through the Depression. They were very frugal, and we were turning off lights in rooms long before people were doing it to save energy because my parents just wanted to save the money. So being conservative on the environmental sense, being a conservationist is something that has always been important to me. And when I wanted to live in my own home, I was lucky enough to be able to find some property that was going to be very near the subway. And I wanted to live near a metro station so that I would not have to drive to work. And so my husband and I were able to work with an architect who specialized in passive solar energy and energy conservation and so on. And we built our house in a very interesting way. At each corner of the lot, there happened to be a big oak tree, and rather than cut down the trees, we built a platform, and we put the house on the platform. So it's sort of like a great big tree house that's on a platform so that we could keep the trees on the property and not take them down. And that actually dictated the size of the house. The house actually doesn't have a very big footprint because we decided we would rather save the trees. And in fact, we're very glad that we did because they're mostly deciduous trees. So in the summer, we've got all the cooling benefit that we get from having this incredible leafy canopy. And in the winter, we benefit from direct solar gain because the leaves have fallen. The house is south-facing, and so the sunlight streams into the house and warms it during the day, which is really wonderful. You know, it seems now like it was ahead of the time, but for me, it was just the time that I was living in. You know, I feel now like people have caught up to some degree, but it always seemed like it made sense to me.
One of the things you talk a lot about in Big Green Purse is kids and how important nature is for kids. And I would love to hear you talk a little bit about that and how we can get our kids connected back with nature, because I think it is such an important thing.
The most important thing is to make sure that kids spend some time every day outside. And you might think that this is a no-brainer and that, of course, they're going to be outside. They go back and forth to school. But there are a lot of schools that don't even have kids doing an outdoor recess anymore. That means, you know, if it takes them 15 minutes to get to school and 15 minutes home, and they're in school all day and then they're home then on the computer or watching TV all day, they might be outside maybe a half an hour. And again, I look to my own youth, and I was outside all the time. There wasn't as much television to watch, I think, when I was growing up, and of course there were no computer games. We had small houses, and we had big groups of friends, and we had to be outside because the outdoors was the place that could sustain our energy. You know, if all of us were inside, it would be very challenging. And I've certainly seen this with my own children. I've raised 2 children. They were always more relaxed. They had more energy. They slept better. They were healthier if they were outside. And I just think that that's really true. They weren't overweight. They were getting a lot of exercise. They also were very observant, and this is particularly true of my son. He's a very observant person, and I think it's because he would be outside. He really had to pay attention to his surroundings, where he was, what he was doing, where he was going. It has helped him become a much more engaged human being, I think. And today, you know, kids are just spending way too much time living artificial experiences through television or computer games. And, you know, the planet really needs us. So it needs as many people as possible to be tuned into the planet, to the environment of the world that we live in, to nature and so on. So if you don't have a park you can take your kids to, put them on the porch. You know, at least get them outside an hour a day enjoying nature. And now that the weather's getting nice again with the beautiful spring arriving, there's just no excuse for staying inside so much.
And there's a great list in Big Green Purse of fun things to do with kids. Can we go over that for our listeners?
Well, sure. I mean, I don't know what your favorite one on the list is. You know, we started when our children were very little. We had backpacks for them, of course, and we always would just pop them in the backpack and go hiking. And as they got older, we went biking, and now they're 18 and 21, actually, and we can do things that are pretty ambitious. We can go whitewater rafting and rock climbing and rappelling and horseback riding and all those kinds of things. But you don't have to be that ambitious. A picnic in the park is wonderful. Have kids make snow angels in the snow in the winter and have them go out and draw the butterflies they see in the yard in the summer.
Hi, it's Michael Senoff with HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching this video. You know, many of my interviews last 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, sometimes even up to 2.5 hours long. They're actual mini seminars, and you've just listened to a short sample of just one of over 117 hours of exciting, hard-hitting, mind-blowing interviews on how to make money in direct mail, advertising, copywriting. I assure you, there is not a resource any anywhere on the internet or on the planet that comes close to the free information I provide at hardtofindseminars.com. So go right now to hardtofindseminars.com and you'll have free access to 117 hours of audio interviews with typed word-for-word downloadable transcripts and downloadable MP3 files. Please browse some more of the videos or go right directly to hardtofindseminars.com. Thanks for watching.